Hey y'all, you guys see this castanet shit? Like, where the fuck did castanet come from? And clearly, as an indigenous person, I gotta say that every time, or else I get fucking called racist. Like not one that's like, oh, my grandpa, like I have my status card, I chill on my res. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, fucking castanet. So, just like APTN, you get a fucking government facelift. You get government, like, it's so nice that our people finally have recognized and funded news networks. Castanet looks kind of shittily done, like definitely like a BC, like whatever. It said Okanagan. It was, I think it said Okanagan, something like that. Fucking news. Okay, it's not as funded as APTN or like, but now they're on the top. They're being shown as like one of the top YouTube news sources, right, in Canada. It's great that our people are, like I said, are getting their own networks, funded networks and stuff. But what's the point of having a funded news network if it's funded by the same government that raped you of your culture and your fucking people, like just raped you of your children? Okay, it started getting better. Okay, we all assimilated into the system a little bit. Okay, we still have our reses to preserve our, our culture and stuff, our reservations. But now the government is extremely totalitarian. It's very, you could see it in the news. There's absolutely no bias. Like, there's absolute bias. There's no non-biased news. It is completely biased, liberal funded, liberal talking points. There is nobody on the opposite side of the argument that is showing up on the news to support an opposing view. There is one side, it's the liberal side, it's their opinion, it's their experts, it's their fucking show, and that's it. Just like when the fucking settlers came, it was it was their show. It was the colonial and settlers, they were important. Them getting established was more important than preserving our culture, our people, preserving the land. We can't go swimming in fucking lakes now. We can't go swimming in certain bodies of water in Canada because they're fucking poison. Hamilton Harbor, okay? We can't do that shit anymore. And that's supposed to be fucking par for the course. That's what we're just supposed to look at that and go, oh yeah, that's just what happens. If we want the steel industry that is shit in Canada because we won't even support it, so what's the point of having it? We need to poison the Hamilton Harbor. So in my mind, it's like I'm looking at all these native fucking news stations that are just pissing out fucking completely biased liberal news, and it's like, that's great. That's great that you're sharing news, but the news that you're sharing is pointless because it's biased and it's liberal approved. Everything that you're the only reason that you're on the top of the YouTube list, Castanet, who looks like they have the fucking logo looks like a fucking 12-year-old did it in fucking Photoshop. Okay? The only reason that you're being popularized is because the liberal government is doing everything they humanly possibly can to fucking convince the average dumb fucking Canadian that they actually have their back. I've never seen a more non-transparent government in my life, and I've never been more embarrassed by fellow Canadians that the people that are supporting the liberal government, if you ask them anything, any questions, they will not be able to answer anything. Oh, the government's doing a good job with their mandates. Okay, what mandates they implement? How many people have been affected? How many businesses have closed down or been affected by the mandates? How, in comparison to the trucker protest? I don't support closing down bridges or closing down roads, but at the same time, all this shit that's happening, there's such things as controlled opposition, right? And there's only so many bridges in Canada across the US, right? So, and I've seen at least, they have the three organizers that keep pushing for the trucker protest. I've seen at least 4 or 5 different people that are claiming to be the trucker protest organizers. And then you have everybody in the offshoot protests in other cities, right? The thing that blows my mind is nobody's looking into who these people are, who the truckers are that are organizing the actual blockades. And you know what I mean? There's no reason why you can't record the guy and fucking show everybody and be like, this is the guy that's putting shit together, and then we look at their ties and see where the fuck they're getting their funding. The one guy that got arrested, the fucking white native guy in Ottawa, like Bear or whatever the fuck, he seemed crooked as fuck. He seemed like he could have easily been controlled op, because that's what they look for. They look for dum-dums looking for money, and they go, you want your money? Okay, then you're gonna do exactly what we want you to do. That's how the government works. That's how anything works. It's like, I don't know, if look up Elmira, look up Agent Orange, look up fucking Unit 731. It's never been the left and right. It's never been about left and right politics. It's been about the industrial military complex and keeping the general population of Earth, in terms of humans, which are fucking uncontrollable magical beings, under control. That's the whole point. I mean, it's not that bad. It's not that big of a deal. It's not hard to think about. I would want that. Anybody would want, we don't want Timmy down the street fucking building a nuke in his basement, and that's what these guys are there for. But the thing is that I don't know what they're doing now. I don't know what the fucking plan is. Human experimentation has been around for a long time, and the fucking vaccine is a global experiment. Is the first. I think it's one of the. I've never heard of a global industrial military. There's like I said, there's Project Manhattan. There's Unit 731, the Japanese human experimentation. There was the Nazi human experimentation. I'm sure there was Western human experimentation. If not, they got all the data from Japan and the Nazis who came over to the West. So, you know what I mean? There's so many subtle intricacies, and then you have all these people walking around saying, oh, good, I'm really glad Trudeau implemented the emergency powers, because the truckers, they were shutting down the economy and slowing everything up, and there was nothing before the truckers that came around that slowed the economy up or fucked everything up. They came out of nowhere and fucked everything up. The economy wasn't already fucking stale for the last 2 years because of COVID. The truckers were just making it worse. How can we make it better? We got to get rid of the truckers, not get rid of the original mandates or the government that isn't allowing us to fucking produce our own resources at home. We have to fucking cut down our resources at home, pay to ship them off to a fucking manufacturer in some other country, and then pay 2 times more to have the product here to sell to our own people, who we charge 3 times more in retail to fucking, you know what I mean? It's fucking insane. I've seen this for the last 10, 20 years. My whole family's been involved in the mining industry, and miners talk to fucking the lumber industry, producers talk to producers. Okay, people who work in the fucking actual production industry speak to each other, and we're well aware of what companies are making what sales and what moves. But a lot of them, they're too busy working. They're too busy worrying about their retirement and worrying about what the companies are doing in the macro scale. But if you look at everything, if you look at the whole picture, you can gain a lot of information from what companies, what deals, business deals the companies are making, and what corporations are involved, and you know what I mean? And it's funny, like, Canada has been selling out its production, or not its production, yeah, it's been selling out its production. It's been, so it gets other countries to produce its lumber and refine its metals and resources, but we're doing all the mining. We have the resources, our resources. We should be refining them at home to save costs, and then we can also export to make extra money. But we're not allowed. We're not allowed to refine our own oil. We're not allowed. Well, for some reason, our lumber industry is completely sold out to the Americans, and our mining industry is slowly getting amalgamated. Xstrata, fucking Vale, all of them are like, they're all amalgamating now, and it's not all amalgamating, but like back in the day, there were a lot more mining companies up north, and now they're all kind of, like I said, yeah, they're all kind of amalgamating, and it just blows my mind that people can support the Emergency Measures Act while, there are so many intelligent people that are just pointing out that this has never been implemented before. It wasn't implemented in 9/11. It was implemented once with Trudeau's fucking dad. I think it was during the Quebec massacres, but that was horrible. That was a terrible and terrifying event. And then it didn't last long. The Emergency Act didn't last long. Now, I do like reading conspiracies. I don't believe them, but it's fun to read. But like 2 years ago or a year, like maybe a couple months after COVID came out, there was that leaked document describing the Great Reset or whatever, right? And like so far, everything is going according to plan. Like minus everything is going according to plan. Like the protests I see are the only thing that are resisting that. But if we want to get to more of something that we could speak to on a non-conspiratorial level, just look up Event 201, or like the meetings that the globalists, that the politicians have been having for these events, and look up if any of you bitch about Theresa Tam. Theresa Tam is she's a doctor, she's your average doctor, but well, she's like your average doctor. But you look at the papers that she wrote, her 51 whatever medical papers. You could find them on like actual medical research websites. They're all about a COVID-like virus or swine flu-like virus. Same thing, or swine flu-like virus being transmitted through air travel. And what was not shut down in the peak of COVID? I mean, you can't. It'd be almost like the trucker protest. You can't restrict travel, but they were very loose on travel restrictions at first, and then they started testing and stuff. But you know what I mean? And same thing with so her studying was what she studied everything that happened. Sorry, my hair's fucked. She studied everything that pretty much occurred during COVID-19, which is fucked. And she was the one who could have prevented it. And it's almost like they facilitated it, because if you went to school your whole life to be a bricklayer, or you went to school your whole life to be a surgeon, okay? And all of a sudden everybody's good. Human health is great. Nobody needs doctors anymore. For some reason, humanity has figured out health, okay? All right, you just finished your university degree, and you just find out that doctors are not needed, okay? Nobody cares about doctors now, all right? So you decide, okay, I'm going to become a politician, right? You're a politician, and now I'm gonna implement fucking laws that are gonna make people sick, that are gonna make people tired, they're gonna fuck up the economy, and that's gonna fucking make everyone fucked up and give me more business, so that I have a job for the rest of my life, and then I can also request a higher pay, like back in the day, so that. But it's like you're already making a shit ton of money. Same thing with politicians. You're already making a shit ton of money. What? No. They want fame. That's it. That's the only thing that I've seen that's happened with politicians and doctors in the last 2 years. Is back in the day, politicians and doctors were good people who shut their fucking mouths and kept the economy running like everybody else. Like everybody else. You don't hear from, like, sometimes you hear doctors on the news, blah, 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 blah. But you don't hear politicians all fucking day on the news, unless it's the prime minister or somebody popular. You don't hear fucking doctors on the news all day, fucking, especially in Canada. If you look up all the doctors that have been on the news talking about COVID, they're all the WF funded the fucking doctors. How fucked is that? Well, not really fucked, because like I said in the beginning of the call, all of the Canadian media is liberal funded and liberally vetted. It's completely biased. There's no non-biased major media outlets in Canada. And even the opposition is stupid. Rebel News, they're good. They make a lot of good talking points. They talk about the things that the mainstream media doesn't speak about, but they do it in such a ham-footed fucking stupid way that anybody who genuinely enjoys Rebel News or like genuinely backs them has not listened to every single one of their talking points, because they make a lot of good talking points, they bring up a lot of subjects, but then they shit it up a little bit by going too right with their commentary, or sometimes they shit it up by just seeming like ignorant, dumb people, and that's a big problem on the opposition side, not the right, but any opposition. It just makes, well, mostly the right though, makes them look stupid. They make the conservatives look stupid. They make the majority of their competition look dumb, which reinforces their current voters. And anytime they make a mistake, they bullshit, and they say that, oh, this is for the good of all the people, and the reason why we're putting in the Emergencies Act is because the truckers were a nuisance. And it's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. If we had a real prime minister that fucking knew his shit, he'd be like, we're sending fucking the army in right now to clear the roads. We're not going to attack anybody. We're just going to fucking send in massive military tow trucks and pull the trucks off to the side. We're not going to, or pull them off to a fucking you know what I mean? Nobody's going to argue with that. Not even the fucking right is going to argue with that you're going to reopen the fucking economy. Like, there's no point in blocking the roads. It doesn't make sense. The whole point was not to block the roads so that we wouldn't stop emergency vehicles. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. I don't know. 15 minutes of ranting? Can we go on? We can go on for fucking hours, but I don't know. Makes me feel better to bitch about this stuff. Maybe I should do it in a more tangible format. But I don't know. I don't know where to go from here. Well, maybe I'll make some type of series. But, these are fucked up, yo. These are super fucking weird right now in the world. And, yeah. I hope Russia doesn't attack Ukraine. But it's, from what I've been reading, all I hear is Russia saying, we're not gonna do it. We're not gonna do it, just don't fucking stoke the fires. And then West is like, Russia's gonna do it. Russia's gonna invade, so we gotta send more troops over there. We gotta send non-lethal weapons. Okay, now we're gonna send lethal weapons and even more troops than we were gonna send before. Okay, now we're pulling our troops out. Now we're saying, and all I hear is Russia saying, "Don't stop, please stop. We're not massing on the border to fucking invade Ukraine." But I mean, Russia's done some sketchy ass shit. You know what I mean? But they have nothing to lose. Like, if you start a war with Russia, like, the West is pushing that Russia's gonna get economically sanctioned. Russia went bankrupt like not even 40 years ago. Okay, you threaten a hobo with taking away his money, he's gonna just attack you or do something crazy because he has no money and he doesn't give a fuck, and you just threatened him. You know what I'm saying? It's still Western provocation, even when it's not Western provocation. Even when they're trying to justify the fact that they're present, you know what I mean? And it's just weird. It's like, you hear all these false flag rumors, just like in Syria. In Syria, look up the Syria event with Bashar al-Assad. I think that's his name. There were white hats there, okay? If you speak to the locals that were involved in the conflicts, there were soldiers that were technically not on either side, doing shit. There were white hats. They're called white hats because they had white hats on. Sort of like the UN, right? If you were going to commit false flag attacks, you're not going to send in somebody that looks like you. And you're probably not going to be able to coordinate with the enemy. So you need a third party to go pull that shit off. You know what I mean? And who has access to soldiers that have absolutely no empathy or sympathy? Who has access to international soldiers and goes, okay, we have a fight in Syria. Okay, we need a bunch of soldiers that don't speak Syrian and that have one objective and that are psychotic, and we'll send them there. Who's got that? Who's got the access to international, to who speaks the least Syrian, and who's got, you know what I mean? The UN. They have access to every single soldier, every single type of person, right? Minus those are involved in the NATO fucking agreement. So it's not far-fetched to think that. I don't believe it, but it's something to consider on top of knowing the actual political, what's the word I'm looking for? The political, temperature, the political climate, while including the actual real political climate, which is, Russia's going crazy and they're trying to attack the Ukraine. They're trying to attack Ukraine, and the West needs to go defend them. And I know Russia, the whole Crimea thing, this is a fucking nightmare. And I hope it doesn't happen again. And I really hope Russia doesn't invade. But I just wish there were more. Like, how are you having Biden negotiate with Putin? Biden's he's a fucking idiot. So is Trudeau. And back to the Great Reset, back to the fucking The military industrial bullshit, the game plan for globalization is to prop up useless leaders, stupid leaders, so that the population loses all confidence in their leaders. Okay? Cause a conflict, all right? And prop up the bad leaders. You have to prop up the bad leaders first, right? Cause major conflict. Shitty leaders propped up, done. Cause major conflict, COVID-19 mandates, trucker conflict, done. Okay? Get the population tired, exhausted, and desperate for a savior. Done. Okay? Now, with these three things intact, now you can take your finger and put it anywhere you want into the Canadian population, because we're desperate for a fucking savior. And who comes in? The globalists. And so what they're going to do is they're going to make a hard push right now with the emergency powers for the classic draconian measures, right? Right now, the thing what's being strictly held to the truckers and their supporters. Who the fuck are they? They're saying there's only 208 bank accounts or something, 200 bank accounts that were shut down. I don't know. The fact that you can touch the bank accounts, the people's bank accounts is quite fucked up. And the money wasn't going to help them, like, it was going to help them for the funds that they were losing going to protest initially. And then the government blew it up into this big fucking thing by not having an open discussion, with the people or addressing the issue. They didn't address it. All they did was demonize the truckers, demonize the issue, and then you have other people around going, "Oh, it's good that they put the Emergencies Act in because it's going to keep things going smooth." Nothing's been going smooth since COVID started. Nothing. And it's because of this government. And they have been absolutely non-transparent. If you pay attention to any of the fucking CPAC meetings or government meetings, the Conservatives, specifically Poilievre, has been, for the last 2-3 years, has been asking direct, to-the-point questions that have been danced around by the Liberals, and the Liberals refuse to provide any type of data or information on their financial moves and their funding. Okay? Now you tell me that you're going to trust them. You're trusting the Liberal government. Show me the data on where the money is going. Show me all of the money. Show me the organizations that they're making deals with. Explain to me why Shopify ran the fucking COVID-19 apps. Explain to me why major corporations like fucking Amazon, Shopify shit are involved in our government. Okay? Explain that to me. And look it up. Look it up. Your government, the people that are running your country, the people you take cues from, who enforce your laws. Okay? They take cues from Shopify and Walmart and fucking other major corporations. They're lobbyists. Think about that. Okay? Your country isn't ran by dumbass Trudeau and dumbass Biden. It's ran by a bunch of corporate oligarchs that are lobbying these people and that own all the companies that feed you. It's already done. It's game over. It's already happened. The whole, it's already, the corporatocracies has been established. It's not going anywhere because they own the mercenaries, they own the military, they own production. They've seized the means of everything. And there's no militia that can rise up against them. There's nobody that can do anything. Now, the only thing that can happen now is that the world has good people in it, and I think that's the case. And I think there's a lot of us good people and intelligent people that are spread out amongst these groups. And unless they develop some type of satanic AI, we're going to make a change. And I think either that or we're going to die. Because I think in World War II, that's kind of what they did as well. They indiscriminately murdered anyone who had a intelligent opinion or who could cause any type of dissent in the system that they were trying to establish. So I have a very big feeling that a lot of people are going to die soon, or things are going to change for the better. That's the only two options, right? A lot of people are going to die, or things are going to change for the better. It's always been kind of the only two options that have been there since existence. Either you die or things goes, everything works out for the best. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think there's enough good guys in the world that it's not gonna nothing major is gonna happen. But I don't know. Thanks for listening to your rant. It's almost been half an hour. I hope you can gain some critical thinking from this. Maybe look at both sides. You know what I mean? I'm not just saying demonize the left, demonize the right, demonize politicians in general. I'm just saying do your research. Like really look into this. It's hard to, even without knowing the specifics, it's difficult to try to process this and understand the big picture. But you have to do your research. You have to look at both sides. You can't become biased. You have to be non-biased, and I'm trying to be non-biased. But all the evidence, you have to stick with facts and evidence, and all the evidence points to the liberals wanting ultimate control and like doing it by any means necessary. And it's not democratic. It's not a two-party solution. It's not a solution that's beneficial to the people in general. It's just unfortunate and selfish and very biased. It's very scary times.